Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA Daily Analysis. So NVIDIA finally recovered today a little bit, but that's not enough. And also, we got mixed numbers on PC index data today. Let's discuss NVIDIA stock price movement for today and try to make some assessment for early next week. Starting with the daily summary, Nvidia opened at 116.19. It made a high 116.20. It made a low 111.58 and it closed at 113.06. That is 0.69% up. And if you take a look major indices, they also recovered today. Let's take a look S&P. So S&P was up 1.11%, Nasdaq was up 1.03%, and Dow Jones was up 1.64%. So today was a good day for the overall market, including the tech and AI stocks. So looking at the major indices, all three of them went up more than 1%. So I was expecting more recovery today on Nvidia. Moving on, last 5 days, Nvidia down 6.17%. Last 1 month is still down 10.55%. And last 6 months is below 100 at this point, is 85%. As we saw last week, last 6 months we had more than 100% increase. Now in the last few days, Nvidia went down. And you see that it's slowing down after touching the all-time high. But if you take a look, the weekly chart, it will look like this. I plotted in the candlestick chart. You see that last 2 weeks we had negative ending, and before that we had positive ending. Three green candlestick charts, and before that was red. So it's a mixed signal since last few weeks. Now let's take a look forward PE. Forward PE at this point for Nvidia is at 39.50. Palantir 82.36, SMCI 22.81, and AMD 40.34. Not a major increase in all of these four stocks, but compared with the last week ending, all of them are down. And they are much lower than the last 6 weeks of average. And still, I think that Nvidia is not a bad buy at this point because its forward P is below 40. Now let's take a look historical data analysis for Nvidia. You see this chart on your screen. This is cumulative percentage change for this quarter. As of this point, Nvidia is above 19% from the last earnings announcement. If you compare with the last month ending, it's down about 8 to 10% from the last month ending. And if you take a look last quarter data, it showed the same trend as we noticed yesterday and day before yesterday. The second month shows the slowdown on Nvidia stock, but we saw some recovery in the third month. So I'm hoping we should see some more upside before earnings. Now let me show you a very interesting data. I am positive you will like this data. As we discussed early this week that this slowdown on Nvidia stock is mostly due to the political uncertainty and the political situation and trade and the tariff war between US and China might start after the elections. In this table and chart I put together the S&P price change data before the last two elections, 3 months before and 3 months after the elections. For example, in 2020, the election happened on 3rd November. So I extracted the data from 3 months before election. That should be August 3rd, 2020. And then after 3 months of election, that is February 3rd, 2021. And also similarly, I have another tab. Let me make it a little bigger. So now I made it a little bigger. So similar data I have for 2016 election. So 2016 election happened on the 8th November 2016. So I plotted the data from 8th August, that is 3 months prior to the election, until 8th February 2017, that is 3 months after the 2016 election. So you will notice a very interesting trend. Let me show you 2020 data. So in 2020, if you see this graph, so the election happened here. You see that 3 months prior to the election, the volatility, there was no clear trend. Market went up and then went down, then up and down, and then up again down. You see no clarity before the election. But after the election, you see that clear trend. S&P started going up, and it was about 16% in next 3 months after elections in 2020. And in 2016, we see a similar trend. The election happened here sometime, and before 3 months, you see the market was volatile or under pressure. There was no upside before the election. But after the election, you see that market started going up because there was some clarity after the elections, and the market knew that what kind of new policy is going to happen. So that's why it started going up. In 2024, we are experiencing the similar trend. Before the election, we see some kind of volatility. And if we think that these two data, last two elections, are relevant, then probably in next few weeks, we might see that volatility won't go away. I will extract the similar data for Nasdaq and Dow Jones to have a more comprehensive picture, and probably I will make another separate video specifically on this topic. Now let's take a look Fibonacci levels. You see Fibonacci levels is starting from 0% to 100% on your screen. As we noticed yesterday, that next level of support was 111. Today, Nvidia was not able to break this level, but yesterday it went down and touched 106, but it could not sustain below 111. So that tells that below 111 is not a very stable region for Nvidia at this point. On the higher side, the next level of resistance is 117, and after that is 123.5. And after 111, the next level of support is 103.5. So next week, I also expect the volatility on the Nvidia and other AI stocks. So after looking at the charts and the historical data, I think that next week Nvidia and other stock will still show the volatile movement. So before we get into these news, as you notice this morning, PCE data got published and we got the mixed signal. Let's take a look. So I updated this table with the latest data that got published this morning. As you see that the actuals came exactly equal to the forecast, 2.5% versus 2.5%. But the core PC, came a little higher than the forecast, that is 2.6% actual versus 2.5% forecast. And I made a comment yesterday that if the actuals comes equal to the forecast, that is still a good news for the market. For the overall PC, it's a good thing, but a core PC still came higher. So that's why I say it's a mixed signal, because looking at this data, we cannot conclude that we're going to reach our 2% goal sometime this year. Inflation is going down for sure, but the pace is very slow. Let's take a look at the historical chart. So you can see from this graph, the inflation has started going down from 2022. The pace was good, but since last few months, inflation is going down, but the speed is very slow. So with this speed, it's hard to say that we can achieve our 2% inflation goal sometime this year. So that will make Fed life more difficult when they try to decide on the rate cut in the next meeting. Now, let's take a look. This one that says that AI doubts are growing. Investors could be making a mistake. Let's take a look. So, in this analysis, they presented two major reasons for the drops. One explanation they have is the rotation. So, people or the big investor are trying to rotate money from the big tech to the small caps, but that should not be the single biggest reason. The second one they try to mention is this one that says that the sentiment shift is that investors now fear spending on the AI is about to slow. Yeah, those two can be a potential reason, but those two are not the cause, right? Those two are just the effect. And the cause is two, in my opinion. One is the political uncertainty, and second is, these AI stocks went up too high in a very short amount of time, right? Now they're trying to settle down. So after few weeks, when they settle down, then we might see new fresh waves in the AI stocks. And also the earnings that's going to be announced sometime next week and the following week regarding other tech and the AI stocks are very important. So now all the other news are pretty similar to what we had yesterday and day before yesterday. They are pretty generic. So let's not waste our time discussing these news. Now let's take a look other AI stocks. So you notice all the AI stocks on my watch list today are positive. The highest positive change we see is in SoundHound, that is 6%. And the lowest positive change is in Apple, that is 0.22%. So the market showed a positive recovery today. I guess that's all about NVIDIA analysis and assessment for today and early next week. So the bottom line is, we see that the market is in the correction mode before the elections, but we should not be panicked, right? And we should not do any panic selling. As I do for myself, I'm keeping or holding my stock for some time and watching the situation very closely. My endpoint is 97 for Nvidia. So in my opinion, Nvidia should not go below 97 before the earnings. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more tomorrow. Take care.